Lyle, I'm in a happy mood today. I know you're not feeling well, but I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm in a happy mood. 2 reasons.
What's that?
We were supposed to get between 4 and 6 inches of snow, and we're only getting 2. Nice, light, fluffy stuff. And the second reason is Elon Musk got CNN to say hairy balls on air. That made my week. That cheered me up.
That would do it. I wished I'd have seen that, but I did.
It's all over Twitter. I'll get you a link. I'll send it to you after the show.
Okay. I did see Tulsi Gabbard get swore in today. I'm very happy.
She did.
That. Very well-deserved award for her, and she'll make a great person to be in that office. So, but yeah, I feel like somebody shitting on my head and then mashed it in. If you really want to know, it's been really bad the last 3 weeks, and today's the best day I felt, and which will be 4 weeks Monday. So it's just really been crappy, and I got to blow the blame where it comes. I got it from James Dockery, so he's the one at fault.
You did go to the doctor, and they did stick you in the butt with a needle, didn't they?
They did. I went last Friday, and I asked the lady, I said, is there such a thing as you giving me a shot of penicillin? She said, if I had it, I would. And she said, I've got some stuff that's a derivative of it. And I said, I'll take whatever I can get, because that stuff, when I was a kid, you had something you couldn't get rid of. You went to the doctor, they give you a shot of penicillin in the ass. A couple of days, you was better. Well, this doesn't work quite that good. But I might need the second go around or something. I'm not sure. I'm not big about going to see some doctor. I don't know.
They should have gave you some amoxicillin to take home with you.
They give me some. The hell is this crap?
You ain't got to tell us.
It is amoxicillin.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. That'll straighten you out if you.
But I'm about to run out of it.
Yeah, Sheila's sick as all get out too. She's probably got the same thing that I had. I just hope it doesn't come back to me as well. Obviously, I'm worried about her and stuff, but
well, of course you are. Yeah,
I had it for 3 weeks. You're going on 4 weeks, so it's pretty nasty.
Well, everything I get hangs on, and I got it forever and ever and ever. I can't get rid of it. But all I've been doing is sleeping. I mean, I sleep all day and all night.
That's because you hang around with Chad.
Maybe. I was thinking Josh, but either one.
No, Josh is all right. Don't tell him I told you. I'm looking at the weather right here, 26 degrees. What are you guys seeing at home, man? Put it in the chat. Let me know what kind of temperatures, and if you're getting snow in your part of the country, I'd appreciate to hear it. And if John from Small Water Charters down in Florida is in the chat for some reason, listen, I don't want to hear from him.
It's 22 degrees here. We were supposed to get between 8 and 10 inches of snow this morning before noon.
That makes me happy to hear.
What we got was less than an inch.
Oh, man.
And I was thrilled with that. But I do know Dockeryville ended up with 3 inches, which well-deserved for him. I hate it for Katie, but serves him right. That keeps the ice from freezing where he can't go ice fishing, which that really makes me happy.
You know, I was talking to a buddy of mine here that he was sending me some pictures. He slayed them over the weekend. He got a whole bunch of panfish out on the ice here on Channel Lake. And he was saying they've got a good 10 inch of ice on that lake. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was going to try and get down. Guys, I'm sorry. I've been trying to keep up with everything that's going on here. I got to tend to family stuff still, taking care of all sorts of malarkey. I'm sure you guys will understand. But I've been meaning to get down to the dam here. It's still open water. I'm thinking I might throw a blade bait or get some big old minnows down there and see if I can't find a walleye. If I do, I'll bring my tripod and maybe you guys can watch me not slip on some ice down there, but it ought to be interesting. We're going to see what I can do. I make no promises, but it's something I've been trying to do. You guys can understand. And it's, some of the only open water. You know what they did here on the Fox River, Lyle? Just south of me, south of Route 62, which is also known as Algonquin Road, there's Algonquin Dam right there. They are starting to remove the low water dams, right? The low headway dams. And they pretty much drained a whole section of the river, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to it over this summer and the upcoming year. But they're having a meeting about that last weekend that I did not get to attend. I just don't know if it's beneficial or not. I know a lot of people say that it helps the ecosystem, but the people that are running the operation are definitely not sportsmen, so I don't think they keep us in their thoughts whatsoever. So
I'm sure you're right.
It's reduced itself to barely being able to be paddled on. So on that section, that's not where I fish, but it's right below it. They got scheduled to remove, I think, 3 more dams between here and there. There's a lot of people that are worried about, Asian carp working their way back up and such. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that, and I'll keep you guys updated on what happens and what kind of effects what kind of effects it has. So
you want nothing to do with them Asian carps, I promise you that.
Hey, look at that. Ray Smith has been a member for 23 months. Thank you very much for your support. I'm going to scroll back up here to that comment by Kevin here. Kevin says, great to see the show for my favorite panfish and best tasting fish on earth, the yellow perch, Lyle.
There you go.
I have to agree with you. Probably it's up there in my favorites. Walleye, we've talked about this how many times, but we'll say it again. Obviously, perch, walleye, crappie, bluegill, all of those are pretty much on par with me. I've been meaning to cook a pike up, Lyle. We're going to try and have to do that here real soon. Before the water gets too warm. I think they taste better in cold water from what I understand. But, Luke is always talking about how much it's how it's his favorite fish. And I'm going to definitely have to get out there because it's been since I was a kid, since I had some. I also want to try pickling some, but that's another
story. I'm not really sure, but I think Luke could eat anything.
Yeah. You got people that eat drum.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, but I know it happens. Missy, if I thought that would work, I'd go get some tomorrow, I promise you. And I like tomato juice, so that would be really good.
Never heard about tomato juice helping a cold, so.
Ivermectin,
that's for the other thing.
It's actually horse warmer.
It's not. That's such a.
No, I give it to my horses when we had.
Well, it's you can give your dogs certain medication that we take too, but ivermectin
too
has been used all over the world for more humans than horses, actually. So
Trump used it for COVID. Remember?
He did, and he got a bunch of issues for that. Same like Joe Rogan. But that's in the history. We got a new day coming here. What do you say? I say hello to everybody in chat.
Okay, buddy.
We got the good ladies over at Benoit Fishing Outdoors. I got it right today, Lyle.
You did.
Bugman's in the house. Buggy, I talked to him a little bit via text. He's doing. I hope you continue healing with your knee, bud. It's great to see you in chat. There's Lisa, Burrito Catfish Lady. Me and her were picking on Troy the other day in one of Troy's streams. That was fun. There's our buddy Creole from Creole's Guide Service. How you doing, Jeremy? I should call Jeremy up and pick his brain about those low head dams being removed. He would know. There's our buddy and channel supporter, Danny Stone Outdoors. How you doing, Danny? Deep Sea Fishing Pirates in the house. What's going on? Greg Burgess. There's Jersey. He's a channel member. There's one of the most famous channel members of all, Joe Buck 66. What's going on, buddy? Kevin Capel is in the house. He says Perch is one of his favorites. There's our buddy Tom, Archie Bass. What's up, Tom? There's Mike Irvin. Mike, one of these days I'll have to ask you what the MI6 stands for, bud. Missy Kennedy in the house. How you doing, dear? There's Randy, old gray-haired Swain. There's Schmieder of the Cedars. And there's and there's Josh over there on the bottom. I'm not going to say the name that he's hiding under. He thinks this is, you see that?
I do.
Josh. We know that's him. He's got to have 30 accounts, and every one of them gets us a subscriber. So I don't know how to take that.
I'm going to just let that slide.
Creole's Guide Service says we need to convince the Paylakers that the Asian carp are a new species of trophy catfish. That way they'll come steal those instead. Problem solved. There you go, Creole.
Works for me.
I like that idea. See, look at that. There he is right there. There's Tucker. How you doing, Tucker? AKA Josh. Benoit Fishing Outdoors says, Creole, we need to unleash Parker on those carp. All right, I'm going through the chat here. Look at this. Creole says, Mark, I may have an opinion or two on that. There we go. I'm definitely going to have
the Parker's already ate them Asian carp, knows exactly what they taste like.
I think he says he went to catch them for bait. He went to catch them for food.
They work for bait. They work well for bait because they become a natural food source for catfish.
Catfish, everything, including the topic of tonight's conversation.
Yep. But Parker, he's not kidding nobody. He'll eat anything.
Yeah, he will. We're not going to get into specifics because he's we won't.
Although
so,
I could.
Yellow perch, a fish that I adore because I've been fishing for him pretty much most of my life. That being said, I didn't know everything about perch. I did not. And to explain a little bit why I kind of wanted to talk about him tonight, I was cruising through the YouTubes while I was laying up in bed, and I came across everything about perch video, which was a good video, but it wasn't everything about perch. Hey, Lance, what's going on, bud? So I did a little research, and I got a whole list of notes of stuff that we can talk about here. So what do you see? I get started.
Let's do it.
All right. Yellow perch, also known as Percha flavescens. Well, they are flavorful. So I guess that's the Latin name. Popular freshwater fish found predominantly in North America, particularly in the Great Lakes region. So they're up in Canada too. I know that anywhere you find perch is where you're finding walleye. Oh, there's Danny Stone. What's up, Danny? Danny says, every fish I caught in Saturday's tournament came on Asian carp. Nothing on shad. Surprised even me. Cool. You should try perch, Danny. At least eat them too. So, like I was saying, perch are pretty much everywhere, except people don't necessarily fish for them, Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't come across them. If you're out there fishing with light tackle, you're fishing for bluegill, you're fishing for crappie a lot of the time. Perch are bottom dwellers for the most part. They travel around in schools, kind of like the crappie in the picture behind us, but they do stay closer to the bottom. And if you're fishing under a bobber and you're not using like a Carolina rig, coming across them doesn't always happen easily. You got to target them, and we'll get into that too. If you guys don't know, and a lot of our southern listeners and southeastern listeners, they have their own version of perch, which is their generic name for what we call bluegill up here. They also have white perch, which are closer. I've never caught a white perch. Lyle, have you?
Yes.
Are they like a striped bass without the stripes? Would that describe? Would that be your description? That would be.
Yes.
Okay. Yellow perch are more cylindrical. They're closer to the body shape of like a walleye or like a torpedo type shape. They're yellow in color, yellow and green in color, and they have black stripes. They can have 6 to 7 stripes. Now, if you ever get a crankbait and it comes in the perch color, a lot of them do, and they're great. Everybody uses those colors. Fire tiger is meant to be perch, which is one of the most popular colors and baits out there. So that pretty much lets you know that they're a big part of the ecosystem as far as feeding game fish. So Kevin says white perch are invasive trash fish. Where are you at, Kevin? We got a lot of yellow bass up here that are invasive, and they take them out by the sled full here in the winter, but we're getting upsize. And Lyle, perch usually get about 6 to 10 inches in length. I've caught them bigger, like the one in the thumbnail that I made for tonight's show. That one was 13 inches. That was pretty big. That was one of the bigger perches I've caught in a while. That day bite was pretty hot. Everything was 10 inches plus. Up in Wisconsin, they love their perch. They have perch fries alongside with the walleye fish fries. They love them fish so much they came up with tumblers take the scales off of 8 inchers because they say they taste the best. It looks like have you ever seen one of them chicken tumblers that take the feathers off of chickens?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea, but it descales the perch.
Nice.
So they sell them up there. That's how prevalent that fish is up there.
Works for me.
Creel says it gets confusing because in North Louisiana, white perch is what crappie are called. Not sure we actually have white perch. You might not, Creel. The temperature might have something to do with it. You can come up here next year. We'll go ice fishing. I'll put you on a whole bucket of them. What do you say, bud?
Although they're not, there is a difference. White perch is white perch, but people in my area also call drum white perch, but they are not white perch.
Really?
Yeah. They'll call drum anything, just keep from having to put them on a stringer.
They call them
sheep
head here, which is different than a sheep's head. So
right.
That's in salt water. And they call them drum. That's about it.
Yeah.
Just like, bowfin, they also call what are they, mud dogs and mudfish over here?
Mud puppies.
Well, they don't call them mud puppies. Mud puppies are something different. So, but yeah, yellow perch is yellow perch around here. So we went over the size. Now, the cool thing about perch is they can have 6, 7, or 8 black stripes on them. And those 8 stripers, guys, at least that I know on the ice, when we get an 8 striper, you get pretty excited because they're few far between and they're usually on the bigger fish. So if you hear anybody ever say they caught like an 8 striper perch, that's what they mean when they do that. I know Luke's been to Idaho where they got massive perch up there. I bet you he's caught a few of those while he's up there. So. I went over to body. Now, where they hang out, they prefer cooler water, which is probably why they're not down where Creel's at. Clear lakes they do better in. That doesn't mean you're not going to find them in muddy or stained water. They'll be there too. But they are pretty sight fish, a sight orientated fish, and we'll get into that when we talk about like the fishing habits of them. They can tolerate a wide spectrum of water temperatures, water conditions, but they do strive or thrive best in waters with moderate temperatures. As far as depths for perch, they're found in all depths. I mean, you're not going to find them in a 60-foot hole, or you might. I don't know. I've never caught them in water that deep, but they prefer certain depths in certain parts of the year. While like a lot of fish do, if they're spawning or feeding, they're looking for cover and so on. So perch diet, they're opportunistic feeders. They'll eat whatever's in front of them for the most part. They're very curious fish, so they're constantly looking around, so they roam quite a bit, especially in colder times of the year. When weeds are dying off or they've died off, they're pretty much looking through all of them for bugs and stuff. They also eat small fish, obviously insects, crustaceans, and other aquatic organisms. What a lot of people don't know is they actually have in their, did you know this, Lyle? Let me ask you this. In their gills, they're able to filter out plankton and use that as nutrition as well. Kind of like a whale does. They do.
I did not know that.
I did not know that too either until I did a little study on it. And if I'm starting to sound like a book report, folks, I apologize. But I want to make sure I get you all this good information. I promised you a show about perch. We're going to do it. So let's see what Benoit says. I identified a yellow perch as a golden perch because we call them goldies. And one guy wasn't happy about it because golden perch are apparently another fish. I have never heard of golden perch.
Me either.
I will have to look that one up too. Kevin says, Mark, I've caught them in Lake Erie in 55 foot of water. They die when you bring them up and the air bladders explode. That's a good point, Kevin. I know that I think it's Big Bill's guide service up on Mendota. Mendota used to have monster perch. Whether or not they still do, I don't know. I remember seeing a Larry Smith episode. He fishes with him all the time, where they were pulling them up off the ice out of like 80 feet of water. So yeah, you can find them in deep water now that I recall. But they're dead when they pull them up. So that's I know a lot of guys are using live scope so they can be, selective in pulling them up to the top, or else if you got to harvest a 6-inch fish, it's kind of a waste, especially on a body of water that's got a limit of 10, like Mendoza. There's Laura the Explorer. How you doing, Laura? What's going on? There's Jersey. I don't remember if I said hello to him. I want to make sure I said hello. All right, now as far as like them reproducing, they reproduce in the spring. When the water temperatures get between 45 and 52 degrees, that's probably your best opportunity to get on them shallow. And when you're looking for them in shallow water, that means they get you're very likely to catch them off the bank. So that would be the best time for a bank fisherman to go after perch. And if you haven't caught perch and you got perch in your area, I guarantee you'll have fun getting on them. And once you catch them and you get them home and you have them for dinner, you'll be happy you did. So they're looking for 45 to 52 degree water temperature. The females lay eggs in shallow water among the weeds, any kind of vegetation, all over gravel beds, where males can just fertilize them. Once the males fertilize them, Lyle, they just leave them. They're like, sayonara, we're done. They don't parent them. They don't do any of that stuff. They're kind of left to fend for themselves, which is surprising that they're such a prolific species. They reproduce pretty darn good. Another thing that I learned in looking into this is the egg sacs that the females give out kind of look like long white tapeworms with accordion kind of folds in them. They're really weird, but it is what it is. All right.
Hey, Chrissy.
How you doing, Chrissy? What's going on, dear? Sending you hugs. There's Jeff Beal. What's up? Jeff says, you see the new state record for Maryland yellow perch, 2.3 pounds, 16 inches.
That's stud.
That's a big one. That's a big one. I just heard another record. I don't know. I heard there was a world record here. I was surprised because it was in the United States. I know that in northern countries of Europe, whether it's Finland or Sweden, they got like monster ones that make even the Idaho. So,
hey, Curtis.
Hey, what's going on, Curtis? So, yeah, we kind of went over why they were so popular. Certain parts of the country, they're more popular than others, probably because they're more prolific. People fish for what's available in their areas. If you're going to gear up for perch, ultralight poles probably your best bet. That rod that you made me, Lyle.
Yes.
The crappie one, that one's a great perch rod. I've had that out twice already for perch, and you can tell when they breathe on your bait. You can see that tip react, which is good. So that's what you're looking for the most part. You'll see them hit before you feel them hit. Definitely.
That's a good thing.
So yeah, lightweight tackle, small baits like worms, minnows, artificial lures, jigs, tiny spoons like Castmasters work vertically. Tip those with a little bit of meat. I've used, cheap Walmart cooked shrimp. That works good when you put that on a hook. They love to eat that, so they're not very picky eaters.
Did you say shrimp?
I did say shrimp. I told you about that when we go down on. Navy Pier, a lot of people everybody brings like minnows, they bring shrimp, they bring worms. A lot of guys use plastics. I use plastics for the most part, but I'll bring shrimp to tip those plastics. A lot of times it'll help. And what we'll do is we'll also bring a jar of cocktail sauce, so it's not all going to waste. Like I was saying too, guys, they are prolific. They're not considered in danger. Populations can be affected if you overfish them. So check your regulations. Don't take more than you can use. And I think perch will be around with us for a long time. We went a little bit over gear. What do you like to use for what do you consider a good setup for light tackle?
Well, ultralight rods and reels, of course. I have a few 500 series fishing reels. I prefer the 1000s and better. They balance the rod out more for my particular use, depending on the length of rod. But I like normal. I like a rod longer than most people do for ultralight stuff. But 6.5, 7 foot rod is what I prefer, unless I'm standing in the boat trying to practice shooting docks, and then I want a shorter rod, like 5.5, 6 foot.
You'd be proud of me. Speaking of shorter rods, I found my dock shooting rod I re-spooled my dock spooling rod when I went and re-spooled all my light fish tackle and put up a bucket in the garage, and I was hitting it with a jig.
There you go.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, me and Lyle talk about this quite a bit, about setting up a bucket outside and practicing dock shooting. Try to get good at it and see if you can't land that jig by shooting it right into the bucket. So if you guys are looking for something to do in your board and you happen to have a fishing pole near you, give it a shot. It's actually kind of fun. So
I sat there in my boat, set a 5-gallon bucket down on its side, and set it out in the yard and see how many times I can hit the hole in the end of the bucket. It's a lot of fun. And it's great practice because let's face it, these people that owns docks that you're shooting these crappie and bluegill and perch and stuff out from under, they don't want you hitting their boats.
Hit the rear of a pontoon boat, or you hit a pontoon on a pontoon boat with a 16th or an 1/8 ounce jig head, and it gets their attention. They'll come out and have a little talk with you.
They can hear it in their house with the door closed.
For the most part, yeah, it's like a siren going off.
Yeah. So
Benoit Fishing Outdoors made a comment that just says perch eyes. Something that you guys don't know is a lot of ice fishermen love using perch eyes for bait. They'll catch perch just for the eyes because they stay on the hook, and for some reason other fish can't resist it, especially other perch. You put them eyes on a Castmaster, and that's a deadly combination. But mind you, there are regulations. They're usually water specific. A lot of places might not allow you to use perch eyes just to keep people from wasting the population. So Neil says the only thing I'm tipping my shrimp on is my fork.
There you go. I kind of like that idea.
Mm.
When you scroll down, you'll see Kevin has a really cool comment down there.
We'll get down there. Let me get through a couple more before we go through the rest of it. LG Bass says, I sound like a broken record, but you can't beat a 1/16 ounce rooster tail. That's like such a good bait.
There they are. They're tough. They're hard to beat.
They're hard to beat, and the Panther Martins are just as good. I don't know if I would use them so much for perch, maybe vertically, but they will work. Any other species, you'll catch everything from panfish to bass to trout to salmon, the whole deal. What's going on, Carraro? But yeah, that's great, and that's one of them baits that's so simple anybody can do it. I heard I was in Hog Lake show last night, and people were talking about beetle spins and how, I used to use them as I was a kid. I used to use them all the time when I was a young kid. They're great
bait.
Why aren't you still using them?
They're still a great bait.
Thank you. It's another one. That slow roll on a retrieve, you can't beat it as well.
And everything will eat it. Everything.
I like beetle spin so much. I bought blades with the little wires on them. Maybe you guys can see that. I'm playing with a paper clip here on my desk that I use on my own jigs that I pour from Mr. Twister. He makes them. I use them a lot of times when the bite's kind of hard. I'll put one of them on there rather than having to buy jigs with underspins, and they're just as effective if you ask me. So
yeah, absolutely.
People talking about meeting up at Catfish Conference. It's good. Jeff Bill says, I have an ultralight 10-footer.
Wow.
Well, I can understand that. If you're throwing like that, the smallest Panther Martin, you need rod length in order to cast at any distance whatsoever. Right. So if you're casting which is why fly rods are 9 feet long.
Yep.
All right, let me see what Kevin's comment is. Emerald shiners are the best bait for perch. Night crawlers are great too, and used cut bait. And cut it into skinny strips to look like minnows.
That's pretty good advice.
Yep, like we were saying, they're very opportunistic feeders. Use whatever your confidence beta choice is normally, and you'll usually do okay. So I like baits that stay on the hook a little better. So I'm kind of like plastics. If I'm ice fishing, I'll take a minnow head off a minnow. I'll rip the head off. It might sound a little gory, but that's what I do. Put that on a Castmaster or on a jig and spoon, and that's usually the ticket. Now, I know a lot of people don't ice fish, but one of the keys to perch, for the most part, is stirring up that mud on the bottom. I was watching NJ Fishing Maniac. He was live streaming. And I feel he started doing that, and he started getting a little better bite after I told him. They're, like I said, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, very opportunistic feeders, and there's a reason why I keep mentioning that. It's to use that to your advantage when you're fishing for them. Make sure they know that the opportunity is there and the fish will come. When you stir up that bottom, they claim that they think other perch are down there feeding on something, and they're going to take that opportunity to actually travel quite a distance in pretty much clear water to find out what's going on, who's eating bugs at the bottom of the body of water you're fishing, and that's when you'll get on them. So you can find a spot, at least ice fishing, that has no fish, and you can call them in. That's another reason why perch are so fun to catch. Anybody can do it. So there's Dan Thompson. What's going on, Dan? How you doing? Now, as far as like line, you can use, like I said, they'll eat anything, Lyle. You use 4, 6 pound, 8 pound test on them. Mono, I definitely use. You don't have to get braid for them. I use my crappie line, which is always 6 pound. That's kind of a happy medium for me. So
there's Chadwick.
What's going on, Chadwick? How you doing? And Sadie has joined us. How you doing, Sadie? What's going on? Guerrero's from the Great White North. He says minnow head's a good tipping bait, 100%. Good stuff. I'm getting text from J Doggy. I wonder what he has to say. Oh, look at that. I don't know what's going on with that. He'll have to show me that later. I'll talk to him about. Sorry about that, J-Dog. So yeah, line I would use definitely just anywhere between 4 and 8 pounds and you'd be set. You can do just as good with less than that. You can probably do okay with heavier than that too. So as far as hook sizes, I use the same hooks I do when I'm bait fishing for bluegill, like a 4, a 6. A lot of people like using 8s and 10s. Those are a little small for my liking, but they'll get the job done. Just be ready to get some good hooked fish, like anything. Also, mind you that perch are pretty darn sharp. Their scales are sharp, Lyle. Their gill rakes are sharp, and they have spines on their fins. You probably got a better chance of getting spined or cut with a yellow perch than you would with a small channel cat, to be honest. So be careful when you're cleaning them.
I understand that is a fact. I don't know. I've never caught a yellow perch that I'm aware of, so, or what you're talking about. I do know that they're supposed to be really good eating. And that depends on who you talk to, whether they're good as bluegill and crappie. Some people say better, some people say not as much, but everybody doesn't have the same the same taste for them. But their mouths are bigger than like bluegill, correct?
Yeah, just slightly. They are bigger, so they'll inhale a jig head. But if you're fishing for them with like Sadie mentioned that she likes a number 14 treble hook, that's definitely killer for them too. Anything you can get a bait on and set a hook, you'd be good to go. Like a lot of the jigging spoons already come with treble hooks on them, and they're usually around a size 14 when you're using them for perch. No reason to upgrade them either. It's a light tackle fish, so you'll be good with anything you get from Walmart, to be honest with you, with anybody. So it's another reason why there's so much light. So worms, red wigglers, night crawlers I got here on my list on a small hook, minnows, minnow heads, can be effective for larger perch. Use a small hook through the lips. Yeah, that's another thing. I like hooking my minnows when I use them, live ones when I'm using them for perch, through the lips rather than through the back. Have you ever seen those wire crappie rigs, Lyle? The 2 hook rigs that Eagle Claw makes?
Yes.
They got like, the wire, kind of springy wire, and they come off at each side.
Yes.
Put a hook on each one. I use those. Those work really, really well. When I use those, that'll be one of the few times I'll hook a minnow through the back, just so they kind of, because those little wire extensions stick out, so they hold the minnows up straight. But other than that, keep the minnow alive as long as possible. Hook them through one lip, if both lips, if not just the top one. That's probably your best bet as far as jigs go. Use a 1/16 ounce. People say they use up to an 1/8 ounce. I've never had to use that. Never. And usually when I'm fishing for them, if I'm not using a jigging spoon, I'm using like a drop shot type rig, even with those dual hook crappie rigs. So let's see what else I got in here. They say they'll eat the tiny spinner baits, like Tom was saying. I have never caught them on one, but I don't doubt that you can't. Soft plastics are good. We use a lot of wedgies for them here in the winter, especially. They're just little, like somebody took a piece of plastic and cut off the corner. They use them to catch them on those quite a bit. They work pretty well. And yes, you can catch anything on maggots, ladies. Benoit is talking about baits, so 100%. If you guys have a bait that I didn't mention, shout it out in chat. Now, this is a Wisconsin thing, Lyle. I'm not quite sure what mousies are. Tell me what that is, Guerrero. I don't think they're baby mice. We went over like the double hook rig so far as techniques, or at least what I like to use. Bobber fishing works good, but they're bottom fish. So you guys know how frustrating it can be to know that your bait's near the bottom. You can't stir the bottom up with a bobber rig when you're fishing from the top. So I usually don't use that unless I'm fishing in heavy cover. My most productive days, at least in my boat, have been right on weed edges, Lyle. They work best. They'll come out of them weeds because they're so opportunistic. Again, I had mentioned it. So once you learn that and you live by that, you're going to do a lot better. Bottom fishing, when they're hugging the bottom, you can use, like I said, a drop shot. You can use a Carolina rig. Anything you can get that bait down near them, you're going to be okay. Let's see what Kevin says here. Crayfish tails, break off the shell and put the meat. Works on good. Bluegills love them too. That's what I do with the clearance shrimp I get from Walmart. So if you guys are like cringing every time I say I use shrimp for bait, it is the clearance stuff from Walmart. Jigging works good. We went over vertical jigging too. People say they troll for them. I guess slow trolling is no different than pulling a rooster tail through the water. So I imagine that will work. It's not something I ever did. Now, here's the important part: is where to look for them. Because you won't come across them if you don't know where to look. You might get lucky. So look for areas with structure like weed beds, docks, submerged logs, drop-offs, where perch like to hide and hunt. Now, Ted, you know how Ted does the talks, Ellenbecker? Follow his rules on cover and structure, and you'll be golden too. They're the same fish. Just remember that not only do they prey on the small fish, all the bigger fish love to eat perch. Walleye love to eat perch. Bass love to eat perch. They're just as prolifically eaten like bluegills. So just keep that in mind. Time of the day, morning and dusk for sure. They're more active during the spring when they're spawning. Like I said, that's when the water temps between what would I say, 45 and 52 degrees. Look for them in shallow weed beds and stuff like that. They'll be on there. Look for them dropping their eggs, and you'll be in business. So Perch do travel in schools, so if you catch one, there's chances that the very good chance there's a lot more. But the key word in that is they do travel. They'll come in and out too. And like I said, you can't call them in. Always check your local fishing regulations. Here's another thing that a lot of perch fishermen don't know, and this is something that I learned personally on ice fishing, is don't make a lot of noise. I've dropped a can of SpaghettiOs while I had a full screen of perch on my sonar.
You dropped a can of SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, while I was
That's
ice
like
fishing.
dropping a bag of shrimp.
I did, but I did manage to save most of it, and I did finish it, but that's beyond the point. And I saw them fish disappear on my camera like it was nothing. As soon as they can hit the ice, they scattered. So keep that in mind when you're fishing for them. If you're fishing for them out of a boat, don't be making too much noise when you get on that hype, that bite. Not so much talking, but banging on the bottom of the boat. So
does them SpaghettiOs have meatballs in them?
I don't remember. I think they were actually raviolis.
Oh,
Chef
either way.
Those are good too.
Yeah.
Those things will make you so fat. I was on a ravioli kick, Lyle, for a couple of months. I must have gained 12 pounds. Holy smokes.
Oh, I know they're hard on you, but damn, they're good.
LG Bass says, I notice when I'm bait fishing for bluegills, once I start catching yellow perch, bluegill bite evaporates.
I used to get toasted raviolis. Oh, dude.
Those are good, aren't they?
They are.
I bet you if you stuffed a ravioli with shrimp and toasted that.
I'm ready.
Oh, dude, we should open a restaurant.
We should.
Yeah, we'd eat ourselves out of business. Guerrero says tungsten with magnets, waxies, or a mousy. I'm sorry, Guerrero, did I miss what a mousy is? Did you tell me what that was? Or
yeah, he did. It's a worm, like a maggot or something.
Gotcha. Tungsten jigs are expensive, but they're well worth it. They get the baits down really fast. Don't shy away from using them underneath a bobber in the summer, in the spring, or any open water. You'll be happy you did. They work pretty good. Noises. Uh-oh. Get you down the ice hole.
Can't get away from the SpaghettiOs, man. They're awesome.
Here's a question from Schmieder to Cedars. Do most fillet, scale, or clean when prepping them to eat? They're like any other fish. Most of their meat's kind of like in a back strap up above the rib cage. When you get down around the rib cage, it's very thin, very close to the skin. You got to get a real big jumbo for it to pay. So you'll get a back strap out of them. I've scaled them. I've cut hashed them with X's and dipped them in the batter, or just spiced the heck out of them. They're delicious that way. You can eat the tails on them like you can a crappie. They're just as good. Cook them whole, take the head off, fry them up. Those back straps dipped in or marinated in Frank's Red Hot and then rolled in cornmeal are delicious too. Ain't gonna lie.
Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah, it's all good.
Eli Manning puts that shit on everything.
I used to put that on everything. I do. Now I've graduated to hotter stuff. When you get old like me, Lyle, you need that extra punch in life.
No, it makes my gut hurt.
You need that extra kick in the taste buds. Thank God, and knock on wood, I don't have the issues on the opposite end. So
I love my Franks, but I can't go much hotter than that anymore. Used to. I just can't do it anymore.
So I hope that answers your question. I know that was a broad answer. How do I like it best? I eat it filleted because it's easier for me to do it that way, because that's the only way my wife will eat it. But I prefer it cooked whole, scaled, gutted, even head on. It just tastes better to me when you're pulling the meat off the rib cage. And
that right there interests me.
Yeah, that's good too. Buffalo burgers, top it with some blue cheese. Oh, that would be good. Real good.
Hey,
there's
Josh.
Parker. What's up, Parker? Josh is here. He finally put that other name of his away.
Yeah, I got something for Josh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read that. They're so mean.
I'm nothing but nice to them guys.
And look at this on the rocks. Now that's kind of funny.
Yeah, a little bit.
I wonder if you can put like a Kahlua in that insurance.
Or a crown.
Crown will work too, 100%.
I haven't. It's kind of like bacon. I haven't seen anything that didn't make it taste good.
Mm.
But then again, I haven't had anything to drink in weeks. So
I think I'm going to have something in about 14 minutes. If you guys got any questions or if you just want to talk about anything, make sure you mention that in chat. I kind of looked all that stuff up and wanted to learn more about them for my own. Well, here, let me give you in the chat a little backstory, all of this. Every year, Lyle, I want to fish for X species, right?
right.
The problem is I wait until I hear the bite is hot and then I'm too late to get there.
Yeah, it's already over.
It's already over or it's on the downswing. So what I'm trying to do is trying to get some sort of calendar, not with specific dates on it, with like, a couple of weeks time frame where I want to go, what I want to fish for. So that's one of the things I'm trying to get together. And perch is one of them. So I want to time the perch and the crappie bite about right and the walleye bite this year so I can be most productive. So I figure I better learn about all those species. The more I know, the better. So I'm kind of been sitting down and doing that. So,
I have one.
Oh, I think I froze. Unless Lyle froze. Can you guys still hear me? There you are. Are you back? I can hear you now.
I don't know what was going on. Okay. Anyhow, I like crappie and I like bluegill really well. I'd like to try perch to see how it compares because one guy says it's better than the other two. The next guy says, oh, no, walleye. Well, I'm not a fan of walleyes. They're okay, and I eat them, but they're not crappie and they're not bluegill. So I would like to try the perch to see. But I never will forget last summer, or I think it was, Spencer Bauer done a video, and he had some of his buddies come over, and he cooked up bluegill and crappie, or no, walleye and crappie.
No. He cooked. It was flathead, blue cat, and channel cat, wasn't it?
Well, he done that one too. But
I will talk about that one next then.
Yeah, the first one was crappie and either bluegill or walleye and catfish.
Okay.
Every one of them chose the best tasting fish was the channel cat.
Over bluegill?
Over all of them. Hands down. Every person.
There's some bush latte going on at that house.
Spencer was the only one that knew what the fish was. And then he come out with the video where he was talking about the blues channels and flatheads. And I'm not sure how that one come out. I know it would be hard for me not to distinguish a flathead from all the rest because they are the best tasting.
Now back to that, we had that discussion. Doctor, he caught a perch, he brought it home and he ate it. And he said that he wasn't crazy about it because he said that it had no taste. Now that could very well be the case. And some fish taste more like fish than others. Some fish are blank canvases for however you want to flavor it. And it all depends on individual taste. I like perch. The way I cook it is always heavy seasoned, but I do clean it until it's white like heck. I always rinse all my fillets. So that could have something to do with my, passion for.
Do you always fillet both sides?
I do, yes, I do. Don't stop. Did he send you a message about that?
No.
He didn't have to. make a mistake twice.
Sorry, Mark.
That's all right.
Hey, Jody. Good to see you.
Hey, Jody, how you doing? Kevin says, Lyle, they are better than walleye and bluegill and crappie. Ooh,
wow.
Fan.
But not better than catfish.
I think they're way better than catfish.
Really?
I told you what my favorite fish were, and catfish was not in it. I make a pretty good channel cat I've had flathead once, and I know people are going to give me crap, but I think channel cat was better.
Oh,
but that's me.
I like channel cat. I like blue cat. If they're small, I don't like them. They get big. They get tough, rubbery, strong tasting when they get very big. Small ones taste just as good as channel cat, or not quite as good as flathead. Flathead they're just the best. But when they get over about 5 pounds, I cannot bring myself to kill one. I can't do it. They're just too precious in my heart. So I have, if they was hooked deep, I did back when I didn't know any better, but I know better now, and I know how important they are to all of us. And man, there's the only thing better than catching a giant flathead is putting it back in the water and watching it swim away.
I talk a lot of crap to a lot of people, Lyle, at least around here.
Really?
I do. And a lot of them happen to be musky. Right? And when they find out that I fish all night and fish, as long as I do in as many hours for catfish, they think I'm crazy. And I explain to them that they're just like muskie, except you got to put your back into them. And they're just as hard to catch, I don't care what anybody says, as a muskie. And they put their fish back all the time. That's pretty much the same, because they love those fish that much. It's the same for flathead catfish for me. I'll fry the heck out of some channel cats.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Flathead, I've harvested one like 6-pounder the whole time I've been fishing with them, just because I just needed it done, because I think fishing's a way to acquire food. Just something I had to do. Am I going to do it again? I don't think no need for it. I'll have a freezer full of, perch, walleye, bluegill, crappie, channel cat. What do I need a flathead for? So
they're just so beautiful. And all of them.
I want you to address that comment, Lyle.
Drum is a tasty white fish. It's a white fish. But we're going to stop right there. They're just disgusting. They don't make good bait. Hell, other fish won't even eat them nasty bastards.
Dead Sea Pirates brings up a valid point, because that is true here too. He says the catfish won't even eat drum where he's at. They won't. We got into that argument with Epic one night. He just didn't believe me. I've literally never caught anything on drum or any.
That's right, Jody. That's what you have to do. If they swallow a hook and they're going to bleed out, you must harvest that fish. You must harvest that fish. Doesn't matter what size it is. If it won't stop bleeding, it's going to die. You got to harvest that fish. It doesn't matter. And if people don't understand that, or they get mad, that's their loss, because there's no sense of wasting a flathead or any fish. It doesn't have to be a flathead. Any fish that's bleeding profusely and it's not going to survive, just harvest it. If you don't want it, someone else will. And I'm glad you done that, Jody. I'll try that.
Danny Stone Outdoors says, folks around here say flathead is the best eating fish. I disagree. The belly meat is good, but I ain't killing a fish just for its belly meat.
No, the belly meat is good, but so's all the rest of it. They're just good. They're just so pretty.
More flathead comments.
We'll eat anything.
Seagulls on Lake Erie will eat anything except sheephead.
And I've heard they're good to eat. I don't know that from personal experience.
It's always a hot topic of conversation on which fish is the tastiest. Maybe we'll make that next week's
I was just getting ready to say, let's make a show about that. And
maybe we can do that.
I think we should, and include all species that's freshwater. There's no sense of adding salt water, because you and me ain't got salt water.
I did taste a pretty tasty grouper when I was on vacation this year. But Jerry Parker says walleye starting to come up in creeks here, and they're delicious. I agree, Jerry. They definitely are.
Cindy and I went on a trip to Mexico years and years ago, and she caught a really nice dolphin. Maui dolphin, whatever you want to call it. Green sucker. Big one. It was good. They fixed it right there at the resort for us. It was awesome.
Lyle, what say you about Dead Sea Pirates comment? He says, what about bullheads? Good eating or better bait?
They're both. They are good eating. They are a little muddy, not terribly bad if you soak them in cold water with salt in it. It takes most of that away. I ate a shit ton of them when I was a kid. Would eat them if I caught them now, but if I catch them now, I'm usually looking for flathead bait, which they are excellent flathead bait. Even Luke thinks so. So if Luke thinks so, then they must be okay. But you need them to be 3/4 of a pound or so to get decent amount of meat off one. But like I say, I always put them in cold salt water, put them in the refrigerator overnight, cooked them up the next day. Didn't have any issues with them or not. They're not a flathead. They're not a small blue or channel cat. They're a little bit different, but they are very good table fare.
They are mushy though, aren't they? I've seen that.
Little bit. If you don't mind that, yeah.
Yeah, drum and sheephead are the same.
What's that?
Drum and sheephead are the same fish up here north. And the saltwater ones, I think they're called sheeps with an S head. So I think that's the difference. I kind of learned that and scouring through the internet the other night too.
Damn dog.
Jerry Parker says bullheads are good in clean water and are amazing eating.
They're very good. Yeah, you'll like them. If you like catfish, you'll like them.
I don't mind catfish. I don't mind it at all. Bullhead is pretty good. Texture is pretty mushy, see, but the flavor is good. Yeah,
the flavor is really good. But the cold water and soaking them in salt water helps with that mushiness a little bit. Here's Stan 3. Good to see you in here tonight, buddy.
What's going on, Stan? Guerrero says channels, walleye, yellow perch. It's a 3-way. Well, we're going to save that. We're going to have a show about that too. So
I think that's an excellent idea. And tell all your friends so they can come in here, and maybe Mark can. Hopefully, I'll be better where I can add to the conversation next week. But maybe Mark will make up us a big thing, and we can vote on the best tasting of all fish. But you only get to vote once, so make your vote count.
We can fight it out in chat. So
that's right.
Danny Stone Outdoors says bullhead being mushy is a good thing when you got your dentures out.
That's a fact. But you know what? I haven't had any fish that I had any problems with that.
The toughest fish that I remember ever eating, it was mahi. I didn't care for the texture. I do want to try catching them because they seem like they'd be a blast.
They are.
They've been called like the panfish or the crappie of the ocean because they're in such big numbers and stuff when you get on them. So that would be.
They are a blast.
But I also didn't, I'm out here in the middle of the country and I had it out here. So I'll give it a second chance when I'm seaside, definitely.
Having someone, it's like anything else. You have someone that really knows how to fix it, makes it better, And those resorts, of course, they have master chefs, so they're gonna be able to do you what you gotta do.
Lifetime goal is to go to one of those places, do a little fishing, catch some fish, bring it back, and have them cook it for me like they do on a couple of them channels like Blue Gabe and stuff. That looks like that'll be a good.
That's what we had done, and it was very, very tasty. Josh says the nastiest fish I ever tried is swordfish, disgusting and expensive.
I've never had it.
I haven't either.
When I go out to dinner, it's usually for a steak. If I want fish, I'll cook it up out of the freezer for them. So
I could use a steak. I thought it'd make me feel better. I'd eat 10 of them.
So, Lyle, you got anything to add to tonight's show, bud, before we sign off?
No, I do appreciate all your hard work putting this show together, because it was all on you. I know nothing about eating or catching perch. I know very little about what they look like, even because wherever I've been, I've never had an opportunity to try to catch one. I do want to do that, and I know that James has told me there's some places around him, and maybe I'll get with him. That little turd's sick too, has been for 2 or 3 weeks.
Sorry to hear that, James.
So, yeah, well, I'm not. He's where I got it. It's a little shit. But,
What,
you know, the thing is,
something? You and Dockery or what? How are you getting it from
we
Dockery?
had lunch here a while back.
Oh, okay.
He knows where them places are at, and maybe he'll find it in his heart to take home.
You know, when we fish this year, if I got an extra bag of fillets, I might even bring them down for you.
Well, we're going to that. That'd be all right, because I've not eaten none of them. But we're going to do some stuff this summer and see if we can figure it out. I want to catch some of them, and if I don't get over this cold, it ain't nothing going to make any difference. You know what I mean? It's just hanging on. It's like the sailor that got infected overseas. You know, you just can't get rid of it.
Stan 3 says, hard to beat those cheddar goldfish. They are pretty tasty. The snack that smiles.
Cheddar goldfish.
You know, since and I'm going to give Stan 3 credit for this. This came to mind because he's in here. I got a question for you, Lyle.
Okay.
And you need to answer it honestly.
I'll try.
If you catch a personal best while on a guide trip, does it count?
A personal best on a guide trip. Well, I don't know. I haven't really had a guide trip. The guides I went with was friends of mine. I didn't ever have to pay them. We've traded, go out with my boat one time and their boat the next time, and it was just a friendly thing. I would say yes.
You would say yes. Oh, that's good to know. I understand. You know, I fished with a few guides too, so I
agree with Josh. You still caught it.
Yeah, there you go.
You still caught it. I would say yes. Now, that would go into the same thing as if you caught a state record or something on a guide trip. Would that count?
This is true. That's a good way of thinking of it too.
I would say yes to that too. You still caught the fish. It doesn't make any difference. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a yes on that. I have so much fun, and this has to be why a number of guides do what they do. And I'm not going to get into how I feel about what the licensing and all of that, but they must enjoy seeing other people catch fish, because for me, I've caught plenty of fish and I've caught a lot of big fish. I've never caught 100-pound fish. I don't anticipate ever catching 100-pound fish. But if one was caught in my boat at my ripe old age, I would assume it was someone else doing it. Yeah. I have more fun finding the fish and watching and helping someone else put the fish in the boat than I do myself. And besides that, if I get very many or very big ones, my back hurts so bad I can't stand it. So with that being said, my entertainment, and there's a lady that never understood that and would always get mad at me, but I enjoyed watching them catch fish more than I enjoyed catching them myself because of the back pain and all the other stuff. And I get shots and I'm good for a few weeks, but it always comes back just like it is now. But I love finding them fish, and I love seeing other people catch them. And if the least they know about catching them, the more they'll listen and the more fun it becomes.
I agree with that 100%. There's nothing that well, not nothing, but it makes me real happy to take people that don't normally fish out, put them on fish, and see the smile on their face. If we're out there, I'll let them catch everything. Now, that being said,
you're right.
Flathead fishing is probably the only exception for me, because you've heard of degenerate gamblers, right? I'm what you call, you've heard of degenerate gamblers, right?
Well, yes.
I'm a degenerate when it comes to flathead fishing. So it's every man for himself. Just kidding.
Have you ever had the opportunity to fish with Luke?
I have not. I fished near him. We fished in the same bay over there in Mendota.
We was at a Fishing for Freedom tournament. Oh, I don't know, years ago. And we was pre-fishing for the tournament on the Mississippi River. And Luke jumped in a boat, and we went out that night, and we was looking for cut banks and stuff because that's what he wanted to take his guy out, try to put him on a flathead. Of course, Ben's Luke. He's Luke. And Luke's not fast enough to get to a rod. Fast enough. Cindy beat him to the fishing rod. She was very fast. She told him if he snoozed, he losed, and very funny episode. It was hilarious. If we'd had a camera, you guys would have enjoyed that. We'd probably still be enjoying it. But he just had the dumbest look on his face because, man, it's like a race to get to that fishing rod.
Good on her. There's a great comment right here from Dead Sea Pirates. They said, memories last longer than the fight.
That's
100%. Can't
That's
agree with
exactly
that.
Right. And like I said, the older I get, the more important it is for me to watch other people catch fish. That is the reason why Catfish Weekly and Panfish Nation was ever started, was to help people catch more fish. Not necessarily bigger fish, but more fish. But maybe with Catfish Weekly, a little bit more of the bigger fish, because we used to do so much tournament fishing, and in tournament fishing, it's all about bigger fish. But I wanted to help people catch more fish. And I honestly believe that over the last several years, we probably have helped a lot of people catch a lot of fish. We was at Memphis one time and went live down there, Doc and Cindy and I, and within 5 minutes we had 900 people watching us. Didn't know there's 900 people that watched YouTube videos at the time. That was the first time we ever went live. Never had done it before. Didn't know you could even do it, or didn't know if it'd work. And it was a lot of fun. We caught a lot of fish. We've had some great times, and we never really hit anything. We might not have told everybody exactly what we was doing, but I've had people that asked me at tournaments what I was looking for when I fished, and I told them exactly where I'd be. And you'd see them come by to see if you was telling them the truth or not, and we'd be sitting there fishing. There's no sense of hiding it. You know, if you're looking for, if you want to know what depth we're catching it in, I'll tell you what depth we're catching fish in. If you want to know the kind of structure, I'll tell you what. It doesn't matter, because the only thing that mattered was having a fast enough boat to beat everybody to get there. That's the only thing that mattered.
First one there. There's another show. We can talk about that. That's a good
right.
idea too. Greg Burgess has a comment for you. I'm hearing you struggle a little bit, so I want to make sure I read this.
Okay.
He says, raw onion and garlic will help your cold. Onion is good for your lungs, and garlic helps clean your blood. Try it. It can't hurt.
I agree. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it very much. And all the rest of the people that's put in comments about what's going on. But if I get through this damn cough and get rid of it, I think I'll. But like I say, dockery, that's where it comes from. That's where it comes.
I wanted to address this too. Guerrero says, I miss when our perch limit was 50 daily. You could scope through them for select eaters, 100%. You know, that being said, I've firsthand witnessed a couple bodies of water where the creel limit has gone up over time. So as the population goes up and you're seeing it go up, contact your local DNR, have them and let them know that you're seeing improved stuff. They might have you help out, give them some harvest reports, and you can get that limit back up, but only after the fish rebound. So it could happen. I know that the plan for Mendota, they went down to a 10 fish limit for panfish. That's in combination as perch, bluegill, and crappie, but they said they'll most likely raise that back up in a few years once the population and the quality of the fish gets even better, believe it or not. So,
and I think that's a lot of the reason they have slot limits on the lakes in Missouri. You have 26 to 34, you have to return all those. You will get bigger and more fish over 34 by doing that for a few years. Will they take it out? Maybe they will down the road. Depends on how the population of the fish grow. I have always thought that the reason they done that was because they wanted to make Truman, Lake Ozark, Mark Twain, some of these lakes in Missouri, trophy cat fisheries.
Mm-hmm.
They're never going to compete with the southern lakes because the growing time is too short. We have too much winter time and too much cold weather. You're never going to make them grow as fast as you do down south. So if that's the reason you're doing it for the wrong damn reason. But you will get more over 34 with a slot limit. Thank you, Gary.
Guerrero Bagre says zebra mussels and gobies in our perch fishery. It used to be phenomenal. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I mentioned in our little talk here, the perch like insects and bottom stuff, and those zebra mussels, they just clean the water too good and the bottom's out too good. So unfortunately that could be true. So hopefully Mother Nature will find a way around it. Randy, old gray hair, says that he prefers whiskey with lemon and sugar. That sounds so good, Lyle.
That does sound good. I see the Crappie Kid has made it in.
What's up, Crappie Kid? How you doing, bud?
Glad to see you in chat tonight. It's been a fun show, and thanks again, Mark, for all your hard work putting this together. We'll get the other show started up for next week, and hopefully I'll be getting better, and you guys can understand a little more what I say, and I'll have more input. But Mark done a fabulous job on this, and I knew he was going to because I couldn't talk and know nothing about the topic.
That's all right. I'm glad you're up here with me. We'll see if we can't get a guest too for next week. Maybe we'll do if everyone's interested, which it looks like, we'll do a shootout on what's the best tasted freshwater fish here in the next week or two. I think that'll be a lot of fun too.
Well, a lot of you that eat a lot of different kind of fish need to give this some thought, because some of you are going to say walleye, and then you say, no, I don't know.
Some are going to say salmon if it's available.
Could be salmon. Yeah, that's right.
Some people like
freshwater fish, but I like salmon a lot.
Some people like that cat food tasting trout too. I mean,
I don't know if anybody that really.
Did I say that out loud? Actually, no. Smoked trout's good fresh, but after that, it gets kind of funny.
I think with some Franks on it, it might be better.
We can try that. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight. Hopefully I taught you one thing at least. That was kind of my goal, because I learned a lot doing the research. I everybody for watching. So we're going to end the show here so Lyle can go rest his voice. Everybody have a great week. If you're getting snow, stay safe on the roads, all that good stuff. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great one. Bye.
Thanks for watching, everybody.